Happy hour, lunatics. I'm so cheap. I'm honestly sorry, Hunter. I'm sorry.
Went with it.
I'm sorry. Either way, this is Sports on Tap. We're at Mike's Beer Bar, where, Hunter, there are a lot of beers.
So many.
500 plus to be exact. 80 on tap. 50 plus Pittsburgh beers.
Come on.
But we're on a bye week, so we're not drinking any Pittsburgh beers here.
Going out of town for this one.
It is cold. It's cold in Pittsburgh. We're going to drink some cold beer. We're going to talk some sports, which it's warmed up a little bit in Pittsburgh, hasn't it?
A little bit.
Sports-wise, not the weather.
The weather-wise, I'm definitely all jacketed up, but the sports heating up. Whereas before, I think our first ever episode, we were talking about how depressing Pittsburgh sports
were. We were comparing
at the
Pittsburgh
time.
to Cleveland.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
That's about as dramatic as it can get. But not like Cleveland anymore. Steelers get a win. Penguins are actually on fire a little bit.
Yeah, Sidney Crosby was the third star of the week last week.
Not bad.
Let's talk a little bit about the Steelers win. But why don't you kick us off with the beer?
I'm actually really excited about this beer, so I'm glad we're getting right into that.
I'm excited about the name of this. We're allowed to say it. It's the name.
It's the name. MOB, Batshit Crazy Coffee Brown Ale. I love coffee brown ales so much.
I love it.
Like, this is probably going to win, just right off the top. But yeah, Batshit Crazy. Let's see what we got.
So I've got a Fat Orange Cat beer.
Oh, two good names to kick it off. Look at this.
Honestly, come on, guys. Like, I have 4 cats. It was meant to be. I'm not a big Fat Cat person though.
Interesting.
Molly gets mad at me because she thinks that I control the weight of our cats.
You got portion, meal plan for your cats?
I just want them to be athletic and be able to jump up to the top of the cat tree.
That's nice.
Is that too much of an ask?
I don't think it is.
We're talking about sports. I want my cats to be
You just want them to enjoy
athletic.
their lives. I get it.
Anyway,
all right, man. Well,
this is the all cats are gray in the dark, which I'm not sure that I agree with, but I'm gonna go for it one-handed, folks.
You did it.
I did it.
I'm so proud.
Now
of you.
it's easier because
I'm so
it's not
proud of you.
Dally clapping
Oh my
in the background.
goodness.
Guys, can I just explain this for
All
a
right,
second?
we need to.
All right,
we need to.
pause the sports for just 1 second.
Oh wait, I need to bring it back though.
Dude, so there's something about this motion and seeing a full drink that when I go, it happens all the time. And when I'm eating before Penguins games, I fill up my drink too much and I'm carrying 4 water bottles with me, and I go and I lift it on I start to black out. I think my hand's gonna start to tremble.
You get vertigo or something?
Yeah, I'll spill my RC Cola everywhere.
Nice.
I can't really explain
guy.
it. It's just it's a mental thing. I'm just I'm scared of it. I'm gonna drop it or spill it or something.
My theory is that your biceps flexing. You got these huge pythons, so it requires so much blood flow to power that muscle that it just goes away from your brain. All goes to your biceps.
You said huge python, so we're gonna delay the Steelers in LA talk to the second segment here. I have a confession to make, folks. Steve Austin, the Rattlesnake, Austin 316, Stone Cold as he's been called,
Mr. Cold.
intimidates what was that beer called?
The beer?
Yeah, what was your beer?
Oh, Batshit Crazy?
Yeah, he intimidates the batshit crazy out of me. Seriously.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't my fault.
Which you didn't know until.
Yeah. Being the beer and sports connoisseurs that we are, we decided to go check out a place where Stone Cold Steve Austin has a beer.
Exactly.
In LA, El Segundo Brewing Company. And we go get a slice from their pizza shop afterwards.
Yeah.
And I text you mid-slice, one of the best slices of pizza, by the way. Text you mid-slice. Dude, Stone Cold's sitting behind you.
Yeah. So let's break it down. First of all, to get Maddie to send a text mid-slice, that's usually all business when there's a slice. To even distract him from the pizza is a huge win. So I have my back to the door, and he texts me dude, I think Stone Cold's here. I'm like, how do you think Stone Cold's here? It's either freaking Stone Cold or it's not. So I'm afraid to glance over my shoulder because I'm well, this is awkward.
You should be.
If he catches me looking, that's going to be weird. But I'm pretending I'm reading the menu or whatever behind me. I'm dude, 100%, definitely Stone Cold.
You're
not even a question.
100%, that's
definitely him. And he's just sitting there calmly having a beer and waiting on his pizza to get made.
Yeah.
So
could you imagine drinking a beer with your name on it, waiting for a pizza? By the way,
how cool! You think he paid for that pizza?
No.
But he totally could.
Dude,
that's the thing. That's crazy about celebrities to me is when they get so much stuff for free. It's these are the people who don't need free stuff.
So here's the thing, though. We last week we joked a little bit about how we get to meet the players, and it's that ongoing joke.
Yeah.
Well, meeting the players and doing all that stuff in sports has not kept me from getting starstruck by like actors, actresses, like other types of celebrities. Like that's still there for me.
It's very different, and I think the reason why, at least like from my perspective, the reason why is when we meet the players, it's under a professional working umbrella, and you're supposed to be there. You know what I mean? You're not supposed to run into Stone Cold in the wild. So it's like, if I talk to you, you don't know why I'm talking to you. You don't know who I am. But if I go talk to Juju, he knows exactly why this media guy is coming up to.
And we also, like, I've seen Juju on the street, you know, stuff like that. And it's the situation where, like, we work alongside you. We see you for work. There is that kind of, like, respect there. And you don't want to bother, you know, people. So you think about that, like, if I'm in Vegas and I would see somebody, I would kind of think, like, you know, I don't want to bother him. But I did want to bother Stone Cold. I just I
kind of wanted to.
I couldn't work up.
I couldn't do it. I went and washed my hands. I got chicken wings. I got pizza first, and then we all got seconds because the pizza was incredible. But I was like, I tried the pizza, I'll try the wings, and then had to wash my hands. By the time I came back after washing my hands, he was crossing the street with his pizza. I was like, no.
Stone Cold, if you're a Sports on Tap fan, I'm sorry I didn't say hi.
Let's run it back.
All right, let's talk about LA, and let's talk about your second beer.
Yeah, LA was cool, man. By the way, this beer was not brewed in LA. Brewdog Cybernaut. So I guess it's just a kind of a hazy IPA. It says, if you love a tropical fruit salad, you'll love this beer. I don't know that I love tropical fruit salad. I like it.
I love, like, tropical drinks.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would love, like, tropical fruit salad, but I would definitely try that.
Yeah.
So I've got the Indeed LSD. Now,
cool one, yeah.
Our very friendly bartender, Cassie, was telling us the LSD is super cool because it is
the beer. The beer.
Yeah, the beer. It has hints of lavender, sunflower, honey, and dates.
Ooh.
I like dates. I went on a bunch of them before I got married to Molly. But I don't know. I've never had dates in a drink, so I'm gonna try to.
Let's see what we get. I'm just proud of you right now, honestly.
Oh.
I don't really get tropical fruit salad here. I get way more grass, like that grassy kind of IPA hop flavor, which I like too. I like that too.
I get the lavender and the sunflower, kind of like that sun in LA.
However,
dude, can we talk about the light real quick?
The light?
Yeah, just the light during the game.
Oh yeah,
it was
killer.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Like our 2 trips to California so far, San Fran and LA, dude, photo-wise, I mean, just been like, I remember in the first quarter, I'm looking at stuff, and luckily it was when Devin Bush was, you know, scooping up fumbles and scoring right in front of me.
Doing Devin Bush stuff.
Dude, it was incredible. I was looking at the stuff on the back of my camera and just thinking, like, holy crap.
Yeah, I mean, the photos looked amazing. They always look amazing when you take them, Matt. You know that. But anyway, the sun, I mean, it made for great light, but I'll tell you what it didn't make for was warm temperatures. I didn't take a coat, and we had an open air press box. We were actually outside. And literally, like, midway through the first quarter, I was like, I've made a terrible mistake here.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the stadium, I think, because you and I were kind of big fans of, like, the atmosphere and the environment, the setting. It felt cool. Special, not like the runt of the NFL family.
Yeah,
you know?
I definitely get what you're saying, man.
Dale disagreed 100% if you watched Java, but we liked it. So tell me a little bit about what you liked being out there.
Like, literally just the energy. And I know part of that is the Steelers fans that travel so well or just live there and travel there, but that's a separate issue. It was so rowdy that it really reminded me of like a college or like a big high school game. Like that kind of just unbridled passion where like you let go. It doesn't, still you feel like it's a professional sports game because you're watching the Steelers play the Chargers, but as far as from the energy and atmosphere standpoint, you just get way more of that intimate college, high school feel. And it was just cool to see that on the pro level.
Yeah, I know people are complaining about, you know, the cost of tickets. We spoke with somebody from Pittsburgh who lives in LA now, and he was talking about how like the upper corner seats, their base price, something that would be, you know, like a ticket cost price in Pittsburgh, we're going for $480.
Crazy.
And then all the way up to a few $1,000s. So, I mean, part of that's like the LA sports scene, but part of that's just the demand for tickets when there's 27,000 people, right?
Oh, for sure, because obviously the new stadium's going to be way bigger than that. They're going to pack that, so selling out 27,000 becomes competitive. And apparently people were paying it because that place was packed.
Look, it's not fair for the Chargers because they're facing like the road fans every week.
Yeah,
right?
it's weird.
It's not fair, but it's not going to be fair next year either when they're in a stadium that's only 50%, 60% full.
Sure.
And it's still
They can't win either
road
way
fans.
here, really. Yeah. Either way, LA doesn't seem to want the Chargers, which is just a very weird position for those players to be in, as they expressed after the game.
So, like, the thing you mentioned a little bit, but the thing that I really love was just that because it felt so exclusive and because, like, you know, not everybody could get into the game, you only had the most, like, passionate people getting there. And you would think that the escalated ticket cost would give you more of that corporate feel, but it didn't to me. It was the exact same, like you said, being in like a small college stadium, one voice, everybody cheering, everybody booing. There was no, you didn't hear like, here we go over here and here we go over here, like echoing off of each other.
It was a unit.
All together.
Yeah, it was insane.
And there were defense chants for the Steelers.
That was crazy.
That were thunderous compared to what I've heard in Heinz Field over the last 3 seasons.
That's exactly what I said, I think yesterday, or Tuesday with DK on the radio when I said it actually felt more intense than Heinz Field. Like, it felt like a home game, but it felt like an extra rowdy Heinz Field home game. It was insane. Yeah. However, one thing I do want to talk about to give Dale a little credit here, it was not the most organized staff at that place. Figuring out where to go just to get into the stadium was such a cluster for us.
That's like, so the media entrance stuff, it was a nightmare. We got sent around the stadium a time and a half. And that part is like inexcusable. But the part that you can kind of like understand a little bit is they're used to putting on, like their biggest games are going to be El Trafico, LA Galaxy against LAFC. Like that's going to be the biggest game until if they end up hosting a playoff game.
Yeah.
But when they bring in, you know, the NFL size stuff, it's completely different. You guys being in kind of an open air makeshift press box, photographers working on the tennis courts under a
just
tent.
Weird. That's just a weird sentence in general. Working on the tennis courts.
On the tennis courts. So I don't know. I loved it though. It was fun. I'd love to see more of it. But
I would too. And speaking of soccer, great transition. Am I going to segue on you? Besides the jersey, there's a soccer team in Pittsburgh doing some stuff.
There is, man.
It's kind of cool.
There is.
We'll get into our next beer, which is conveniently called Hop Juju for our Pittsburgh sports segment.
I've seen that Juju guy wearing an LAFC jersey now.
Oh, really?
Just throwing that out there.
Nice. He's into it too. So I've got Fatheads Hop Juju. Fatheads out of Ohio, but you may know their brew pub right here down in the south side too. So it's not quite local beer technically, but it almost is.
No, Ohio's got a good beer scene though.
Yeah, they don't get enough credit, I think, for their beer scene.
Yeah, no,
because people don't want to admit Cleveland does anything good, but Cleveland does beer the right way, for sure.
So I've got the Firestone Walker Oktoberfest. I'm super pumped about this one because I love Oktoberfest beers, but I also love like barrel-aged, oak-aged.
The Burton Baton.
Yeah, man, we've talked about that. Burton Baton being one of both of our favorite beers.
Yeah.
So
I think
I'm really excited about that.
For you. All right.
So I'm two-handed
there
this one.
It
it's like
it's
right
a little
in the middle
too
of
full. You see that?
That's pretty good.
I mean,
you've had about 50 of those.
Yeah, I've had this one a time
side.
or two. I know I love it. I still love it. It's one that I look forward to every year. So, I mean, just unbelievable beer.
Are you looking forward to your first experience at a Riverhounds playoff game?
So much, for real. Which, if 2005 Hunter would hear me say that, he would be like, oh, you care about a pro soccer game? Like, since when? But, like, since coming on to DK and, like, getting to know the Hounds better, know the players, know the coaches, know that atmosphere, the team is incredibly likable. Like, they're just great guys, for real.
It's not often that, like, when you're waiting for players to be brought over for interviews, that they start by, like, coming up and reaching out and, like, shaking your hand. And, like,
they, like, appreciate
hey, thanks.
it.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, Kevin Kerr might not be a real person. Like, I'm not convinced that he's not a robot that's just programmed to make people happy.
You and DK, huh? That's your guy?
Nah, I mean, I'm just saying, he's, like, the most agreeable human I've ever encountered. So, to see them get a playoff game, and not just, I mean, they're the number 1 seed. Like, they're going to be favorited. It's crazy.
Yeah, no, it's going to be really fun. Last year, obviously, covered their lone playoff game. It was a loss and the extra time, Just disappointing, I guess, to see, like, just the results come down to a missed penalty kick. You hate to see that in soccer. Some people want to do away with it, but
I get that angle too. Well, how do you personally feel about it? Because I don't think a playoff game should come down to penalty kicks.
Well, it's tradition, man. But it's like one of those things. You go back to watching like France versus Italy, and Zinedine Zidane, goes out with a headbutt in the World Cup final, and Thierry Henry has to be subbed out, and you have like two of the best footballers in the world like unable to partake in a penalty kick to decide the World Cup after they've been absolute stars for an entire tournament.
It's weird.
So it's weird to see in kind of settings like that, but I mean, you could see, we talk about hockey games that go to like triple overtime. I mean, if they didn't regulate it in some way, I mean, you could see soccer matches go
forever.
Just hours and hours.
But like imagine a Stanley Cup final game go to a shootout.
I know.
Like how weird would that be?
I know, but see, hockey's so different where you have the constant subs, the rotation of players. Even in the third overtime, you start to work in the third and fourth lines more heavily than you do throughout the game. So like a lot of times you'll see like a fourth line role player kind of like step up. Like one of the Penguins' young players that's been in the lineup. You start to see like somebody with maybe fresher legs, able to jump in and make an impact in that kind of situation. In soccer, you're out of subs and then you're out of subs. So,
dude, being out of subs in soccer has got to be so brutal. Like being there to see the size of the field and literally how much ground they cover. They're amazing athletes.
There's some great players so far, covering the season. We've seen the emergence of like Robbie Mertz, who obviously local kid. They call him really like the Pittsburgh Messi. He's great on the ball. He's a small guy. He's good with his feet.
He's super small.
Beautiful passes.
For the record, he's even smaller. Like in person, I was blown away at how small he really is. Like,
but he can be dominant.
He's performed exceptionally well.
And then you've got Steven Dos Santos, who's on the other side, is this massive human, and he had some like lapses probably like mentally with like his work rate and stuff earlier in the season. But the Hounds as a whole, they didn't pick up until game like 11 or 12, they've just been on a tear.
Dude, coming down the stretch, I think they're 7-0-3 in their last 10, something ridiculous like that. They didn't allow a goal for like a year straight. It wasn't that long, obviously. But they had a crazy just shutout streak going.
So Steel Army named their Player of the Year award they gave to Kenardo Forbes.
All right.
And man, I know like not being as much of a soccer guy, some of like what he does just to facilitate play when he's not scoring or assisting.
Yeah.
Like you probably like don't notice it as much, but man, he is like, he's so fun to work. His like interplay when he moves out wide to connect with like Robbie and then free up space for other guys, and then his free kick ability and stuff. He was just a super fun player for me to watch this year.
I definitely agree. I agree with that. Joe Greenspan always stuck out to me. I feel like he just had like a rocket booster on his foot. Like every time that dude touched it, there was just so much power and force with that guy in general that I was just like, okay, that's impressive. Like you imagine being a keeper and trying to stop that coming at you with a huge net. Like it's not like a hockey net where you're basically covering the whole thing. Like you literally just don't have a chance in soccer sometimes.
So he was a huge gift for the Hounds. What was it, a year, maybe two now? But Minnesota, when they were an expansion club and they were picking up extra players, he was a draft pick of theirs, and then they ended up needing to just move some guys, and man, he's been so good for the Hounds.
Absolutely. I'm gonna crush this and get into
all right, let's do it.
I can't Hop Juju is seriously one of my favorite beers ever, and it's just so good.
What do you got for your last one over there after the?
Something super interesting. So it's called Honolulu. It's a play on Honolulu.
There you go.
From Rheingeist in Cincinnati. Another Ohio representing. So it's a nitro sour. So I've had a lot of sours. Never had a nitro sour, I don't think. So I'm kind of interested in this. It says blueberry, pineapple, and lactose. So.
And lactose.
Lactose as well. So I don't know. Is it going to be a little creamy or something?
I don't
nitro
know.
alone would make it kind of creamy. So no, this is going to be an adventure, I think.
I'm interested in seeing lactose as one of the ingredients.
Same.
So I've got the Great Lakes Nosferatu.
Another classic.
Which, come on, we don't really need to say anything about it. If you guys are beer drinkers, then
you know this beer,
you've
especially
had
in
it.
this area.
Yeah, I mean, it's another Ohio beer, you know, Great Lakes, Cleveland. All of their stuff is incredible. Nosferatu, I feel like every time the fall season in October comes around, it's just like one of my go-tos.
It's my favorite fall seasonal beer in the world. And you know, like, I don't like Oktoberfest and stuff, and that's exactly why, because it doesn't have that spiced Thanksgiving flavor going on.
It's completely different. I love on the description, don't be afraid of things that go hop in the night.
Hey, I like that.
You can't go wrong with that.
I like that.
I'm just gonna go home, put on like Scream on on Netflix, or like watch like a Dracula movie or something. Pound some Nosferatus.
Look how full this is.
I could not do that.
How much anxiety would you have?
So I've got a little room there. That honestly, I would need to see a doctor, I think, if I held that.
That is a super interesting beer.
Well, I think my 500th sip of Nosferatu is about as good as the first that I've ever had.
It's really funny, man. Nicole and I lived in an apartment in Robinson in probably like 2015 or so. One of our good friends from high school was living with us while she did her master's at Slippery Rock University. We bought a 4-pack of Nosferatu, and you know, like the iconic picture of Nosferatu on it, we cut it out, and we would just stick it like in each other's sock drawers or like random places, and we would just like open the medicine cabinet and Nosferatu would be staring at you. So now like that beer has a special place in my heart. It's just fun, dumb stuff.
You ever listen to music when you're just like sitting around drinking beer? Even if you're sitting down by yourself just drinking a beer? No, like no, not like, I'm not talking about like a party scene where you're like bumping music. I'm talking about just like.
Of course I do. Yeah.
Dude, I literally sat down at the table and drank some beer the other night, listening to all of my Wu-Tang collection on vinyl. I couldn't help it. I have
vinyl?
I have like 4 albums on vinyl.
Well done.
But obviously, because
what inspired that, Maddie?
Because the other day in LA, you know, the first photo that I take of Benny Snell on that day, he comes into the building wearing his Wu-Tang shirt.
It was a pretty incredible entrance, not gonna lie. He's been saying he's been ready to go since he came in. You know, he's a rookie, he wants some playing time, he wants to play. But now the opportunity's actually there, and he's owning it.
You know what I loved about Benny Snell getting all of the touches and getting some of the attention, and like, should you pick him up in fantasy? All of that kind of stuff coming on.
Should, by the way.
It all reminded me of when Vince Williams had this really big game last year, and Dayon joked with me after the game, and he goes, I was told in the locker room that I had to wait in line to talk to, or no, it was Bud Dupree.
Ah, nice.
And Vince told him, he goes, I can't believe you have to wait in line to talk to Bud. Bud's your guy, Bud has a big game, and now you're waiting in line.
Yeah.
You had the same kind of thing with Benny Snell.
That might happen now with Benny Snell. I mean, the guy doesn't really like media. Like, I'll throw that out there for sure. It's pretty clear that he wants to just keep to himself and focus on his thing, which is totally cool, honestly. I respect the hell out of that. But Benny Snell was shortchanging some reporters after that game. And then the first question that I asked, he like brightened up a little. It was like, great question, and then like gave a really good response. It was like, but that's the thing. A lot of people are like, why are you talking to this guy? Why are you talking to this guy ahead of time? Because every player is on that team for a reason. I'm not just going to try to get a Juju or a Roethlisberger if he was healthy, interview every day. Like, I've been talking to Benny since he came here, all through training camp, all through everything. I'm not just going to stop talking to you because you're not playing or whatever.
So your like first interaction with Benny Snell, I think, set the tone for kind of what's become this relationship, that when he does kind of stand out a little bit, you're able to get a question and get a real answer. Kind of explain just a little bit, because I've heard the story. I saw it on Twitter, obviously, but I thought it was hilarious, and a lot of people probably saw it, but for those that didn't.
I'm trying to remember what the first Benny Snell story was. Give me a hint here.
Oh, no, it was you asked a question, and he kind of like, he gave you like a hard time about it.
When he didn't want to talk at first. Yeah. So we were in St. Vincent, and he was coming out of the locker room, and that's in St. Vincent. That's how you do it. You just grab them when they come out. Like, you're not even in the locker room with them. It's just them walking out on the sidewalk. You just get who you can. So I kind of go up to him. So it wasn't actually the very first interaction. So he knew me a little bit. I walked up. I was like, "Hey Benny, can I get a second of your time?" And he has his hoodie pulled up. He just like, "Oh man, I wasn't expecting any questions today." He like kept walking as he said it, and I was like, I was like, that's cool, man. Maybe I'll just get you after practice. Like, I'm not a guy who's going to press. Like, you're an adult, I'm an adult. We're both doing jobs here. I'm not going to force you to talk to me. That's just not my style. So he's like, yeah, that sounds good. Get me after practice. And of course, like, other reporters hear that go down, and he literally says, one reporter that I won't name, heckling me, he's like, oh, dude, you just got rookie moved by the rookie. He's like, there's a 0% chance you're talking to Benny Snow after practice. He just blew you off. And I was like, we'll see, man. I'm like, all I need is a little opening. Long story short, after practice, I talked to Benny Snow. It was totally cool. He even said, and somebody like in my live cues was like busting on me for having a lot of tattoos. They're like, when is it too many, Hunter? You know what I mean? And Benny Snell, after that interview, was like, sick hand tattoo, by the way, bro. He's like, I really like that. It's like, there's actually a rapport here. Like, players relate to that. You know what I mean? But yeah, Benny's been really cool with me personally, but I do see him give people a hard time.
It's fun. We talk a lot about, like, the players that we really enjoy covering. One of my all-time favorites, and man, it's so unfair that I only got to cover this guy for like 2/3 of a Penguin season, if that. Ryan Reeves coming to town tomorrow, a beer guy himself. He marries people in Vegas. He brews beer in Vegas. Oh man, I'm so excited.
Man. He should be the Dos Equis guy.
Dude, if he's not the Dos Equis guy in like 45 years, there's been serious disservice done to Ryan Reeves. Dude. I mean, you're not even much of a hockey guy, but you gotta like Ryan Reeves.
How can you not like Ryan Reeves? Like, I remember when the Penguins got him, and it was just instantly like, I gotta watch Penguins game, because this was when I was full on MMA combat sports mode. Like, I want to watch the Penguins now just to watch Ryan Reeves fight somebody. like he was the man.
Yeah, it's like, it's kind of unfair. Like, obviously that's the first thought that he's given. He obviously got a raw deal in Pittsburgh, didn't get the minutes or the playing time that he did in Vegas, and you know, he's been able to blossom into a guy who does a lot for them besides fight. But man, it was just, I hated seeing them move on from him before he ever got a chance to protect the team from Tom Wilson, who of course broke the jaw of Zach Aston-Reese that following playoffs.
Wow.
So
they needed him. They definitely needed him.
I'm excited though, man. The last time that I saw Ryan Reeves, I went out to DC before the game in Pittsburgh, and went out to do a story on Fleury and Reeves returning, and Fleury had already been back. Sure. But man, Revo was so good. He sat at his locker stall, and he gave me and another reporter just a lot of time. And you know, I asked him, because I was told a story by one of the Pittsburgh photographers, and he said the first time that Ryan Reeves was ever asked to pose for a photo before the season with his hockey stick, and not with like boxing gloves or just his fists up or whatever, was in Pittsburgh. Nice. So he came in to do his headshot, and he had they had him hold a stick up over his shoulders, you know, classic hockey pose. And he just, you know, he laughed about it because up in St. Louis, they asked him to pose with gloves or whatever.
That's hilarious.
So I asked him about it, you know, he laughed about it. It was good. And then he really opened up about just not being able to be given the opportunity to protect the team, and it's really fun to listen to.
Yeah, it's always cool when players open up like that and give you actual good stuff, because, I mean, like we've said a million times, it's very much a working business relationship. Like, they know that they can just one word answer you and you'll leave. So when they actually give you their time, and that's kind of the thing, that speaks to Reeves' character as well, that he would do that. But when you have a rapport, you can get those kind of quotes and stories.
Yeah, good tattoo story too. He actually...
It's about the tattoos, guys. Go get tattoos on your face.
At the time of talking to him, he hadn't gotten the Penguins one yet. But he has a tattoo for every hockey team he's ever played for, including his amateur teams.
Wow. All right.
So, I mean...
That's cool.
You got to give some respect there.
I love that. I love the documentation of it all. Like a story on your skin is always a cool way to do it.
It's going to be good to see his smile tomorrow.
Yeah.
Our smiles are running dry because our beers have run dry.
Yeah, right.
But I'm going to take one home with me. What are you taking with you?
I would definitely pick Hop Juju. Like, just straight up, that's my favorite beer out of those, but incredibly... biased isn't the word, it's just that's my beer. I know that's my beer. So I'm going to not pick that one just because. And I'm actually going to go with that Rheingeist Sour. This is like 2 weeks in a row I'm picking something that surprises me. But I've never had a nitro sour, and I like the way the nitro makes it kind of smooth and creamy. I'm into that.
Dude, I'm just saying it's true to my heart. Going Ohio. going Nosferatu.
Going Ohio.
I'm not going gluten-free this week.
The only reason it's Ohio is because it's the bye week theme on our flights, by the way. Trust me. You would never do that.
Yeah, bye week, no Pittsburgh here. Pittsburgh influence, but
some Pittsburgh influence.
No Pittsburgh here.
Yeah. All right.
Hunter Homestead, Matt Sunday. We'll drink with you guys next week.